We never really got a Obi Wan Palpatine showdown ever in Star Wars, especially as it pertains to the movies. We didn't get a verbal confrontation between Sidious and Obi Wan or a lightsaber confrontation, but whatever the case, that's why there's comics and they show us a different side to these characters. And today, Palpatine and Obi Wan go head to head for young Anakin as Palpatine's influence starts growing, whereas Obi Wan doesn't want that to be the case. To understand this, let's start from the beginning. You and your master find a phenom, literally spawned from the Force itself. That boy was Anakin Skywalker, and through all the trials and tribulations, you are anointed as the master of this little boy. Obi-Wan continued to train Anakin for 10 years following the events of Episode 1, but through that time, someone else was creeping in the shadows. That was Chancellor Palpatine, who, as we all know, was secretly Darth Sidious. One instance where Palpatine was clearly intruding in Jedi business was this one time when he visited the Jedi Temple and saw none other than a young Anakin training in lightsaber combat. Young Anakin was fighting a machine programmed to look and fight like the killer of his original master, Qui-Gon. That killer was of course Darth Maul, and Anakin annihilated the Maul figure even at this very young age. This was done through his anger mostly, and that's what the Padawans noticed and talked behind his back. What was followed next was an attack and an angry Anakin. Everything that Anakin did was witnessed by someone who enjoyed what he saw. Palpatine was right there. I'm surprised he resisted cheering for Anakin to destroy every Padawan there. After what he saw, he requested that Anakin be sent to his chambers later on. Maybe he can have a talk with him. Here is the problem though. Anakin had a master, of course, our favorite master, Obi Wan Kenobi, and once they visited Palpatine later on, the Chancellor immediately suggested that Anakin accompany him on an errand, and clearly he was leaving Obi-Wan off the list. Well, Kenobi had to interject. He suggested that Anakin has yet to learn to take care of himself, and to protect the Chancellor in the safest way possible, Obi-Wan had to accompany them both. But nonsense, said Palpatine. He could handle himself quite well, and by the way, he said it himself, Anakin still had much to learn. What better way than to spend some time with Palpatine on an errand, learning from the elderly? This dismissal was the first sown seed inside Obi-Wan's mind that Palpatine was not going to be good for Anakin. Him undercutting Obi-Wan like this struck a very negative chord. If you want further proof of this, Obi-Wan is seen warning Anakin in Revenge of the Sith against Palpatine, at least warning him to be cautious since he knew that Palpatine was constantly in Anakin's ear, turning him perhaps to his side as opposed to the Jedi Order side, which Anakin swore an oath to and allegiance. All that animosity that Obi-Wan and the rest of the Jedi felt towards Palpatine might have started right here, especially for Obi-Wan. If we all think about it, he was never really a big fan of Palpatine. If we look back at the movies and even the Clone Wars series, this comic may show the origin of all the Palpatine hate, how Obi-Wan started to doubt and, I'd like to think, secretly hate Palpatine for destroying his brother-like relationship with Anakin slowly, to the point where Anakin completely left the Jedi and destroyed everything he ever loved. And for those who missed yesterday's episode, it is this commotion that Palpatine was watching inside the Jedi Temple. During that time, he was participating in a training session within the Jedi Temple, surrounded by many other younglings. In fact, he had programmed a droid to mimic the moves and skills of Darth Maul, the secret Sith who killed his first master, Qui-Gon Jinn. Both Windu and Obi-Wan were watching these young Jedi prospects showcase their abilities, and at just the right time, Chancellor Palpatine shows up as well, showing interest in Skywalker's abilities to the dismay of Mace Windu, of course. He even referred to his improvement as impressive. With each slash, Anakin was becoming more and more aggressive, and in a final show of sheer skill, the young Padawan slashes the droid in half and completely completely demolishes it. Now, whether it was jealousy or perhaps the truth, the younglings behind him were slightly unimpressed. While they acknowledged his lightsaber skills, they still believed he wouldn't become a good Jedi. One commented that after all, he would always be a slave to his emotions. Anakin, however, heard only one thing that triggered him the most, and that was he is just a slave. He had had enough. With only a flick of his wrist, he used the Force to pull both of their lightsabers, suspended on air, and ignited them by easily using the Force. The younglings were shocked and terrified. To make matters worse, Anakin taunted them about their comments. Witnessing what just happened, Obi-Wan immediately intervened, but by that point Anakin had just come to his senses. He defused the lightsabers and gave them back to the younglings with an apology to offer as well. It was a sudden burst of emotion. However, the Padawans had just witnessed his wrath. They were not about to discuss it further, they just said to forget it. Palpatine, of course, having seen what transpired, used this opportunity as an in to spend more time with the boy, instructed Windu to send the boy over to him more frequently. After all, he was once Anakin's age, he commented, and he felt a special connection with Anakin, even reminding Windu that the Jedi fall under the Senate's jurisdiction. He was the Senate. Shortly thereafter, when he went on a brief errand with Palpatine, the boy became disillusioned and, in fact, wanted to completely leave the Jedi Order and pursue adventure, choose his own path, as he explained to Obi-Wan. But of course, talk to me down below in the comments, tell me what do you guys think as well. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and if you enjoyed, leave a thumbs up down below, subscribe for dailies. Now you have an awesome day, Star Wars fans. I'll see you in the next video, and may the Force be with you until then.